Hi everyone, this is just a quick article about turbo speed sensors. So increasingly recently people have been asking to monitor turbo speed through the ECU. Now I don't know if they're doing this to configure anti-lag or monitor spool time or they just want to avoid overspeeding their turbocharger. But because there's been a bit of a call for it recently, we've added it in as a dedicated function. So the ECU can support up to 2 turbine speed inputs and the need to connect to real-time inputs that can measure frequency. So the inputs that you can use for this are, first of all, CAS2 input, if you're not already using it as part of an engine trigger. So for example, if you've got a missing tooth crank trigger on a rotary or a two-stroke or something like that, then you only need one CAS input. So you can use CAS2 for this. CAS3, if you're not using that for flex fuel already. CAS4 or 5 if you've got a mini real-time input module installed. Also, if you've got a mini real-time input module installed, you can use any of the vehicle speed inputs or the flex/frequency input. Or you can use the main vehicle speed input if you're not using that for vehicle speed. So for example, on the RX8 plugin, the vehicle speed comes over CAN from the ABS units. So there's no VSS input on the ECU, so you could use that for turbo speed if you wanted to. Now if you go to the turbo speed sensor setup page, you'll find the source there, so you just need to select the correct input for where you've wired the speed sensor to. Now you also need to select the type of sensor because there are several types that all have different output patterns. So the first one is the Borg-Warner EFR for the 67mm compressor. 67mm compressor has got 12 compressor blades, whereas all the others have got 14. And their sensor picks up every blade but only gives you an output for every 8 blades, so that means that you have 1.5 pulses per revolution. There's also the Borg-Warner EFR larger than 67mm, which has got 14 blades, and again it's 14 divided by 8, which means that you get 1.75 pulses per revolution instead. And the last one is the Honeywell Garrett type trigger, which has a rectangular bar, so each end of that triggers the sensor, so you get 2 pulses per revolution with that sensor. Now those sensors all have digital outputs, so in this case you'll need to make sure that that particular input on the ECU is configured as a digital input, not a reluctor input, to enable the internal pull-up. Once you've selected a turbo speed sensor, that variable will display on the main gauge window in the Eugene software. And of course you can add that into any monitor panels or gauge pages that you want, and it'll appear in the data logs as well. Thank you very much.